Welcome to Collins TV. This is our inaugural episode, so thank you very much for watching. Appreciate you being here. Hope you enjoy the video, and please, click below in the like section or leave me a note. Let me know what you thought of it. Feel free to leave any comments whatsoever. Trying to decide what to do for my first video, came up with a couple ideas. First, I want it to be something relative, something that could be useful. It's harder for me to find on YouTube when I'm looking around for things. What I chose to go with today is going to be a view of the Windwalker Monk, kind of a initial tutorial for you. It's going to be more for the casual player, somebody just starting out. The reason I did that is because right now we're in kind of a lull before Warlords of Draenor comes out, and the 90 boost is great that they've done that, especially with the pre-order and everything. I know a lot of people have started boosting. I think it's a great catch-up mechanic. It's a great way to get your friends involved in playing without really missing too much. I know I've got a couple friends that actually went ahead and started playing because they could get the boost to 90. That being said, there's a couple issues I see with it. One, a lot of people are getting this boost to 90. There's no teaching. There's no training mechanic to learning the class at all. And as everyone knows that plays, World of Warcraft, there's a lot of buttons to press, a lot of skills and talents, and what's ended up happening, a lot of people have boosted these 90s as an alt, even for veteran players, they boost an alt 90 and they get into these LFRs, into their heroics, and they're just not performing near the level they're used to performing at, and it feels hard, and they feel like they're new to the game doing it, and it's not a good feeling. So what ends up happening is they go back to playing their main, or one of their other random alts, and this 90 that they boost is just kind of sitting by the wayside. They figure I'll play it later or whatever, and that's sad because that's part of a way to keep the game fresh. But obviously, if you don't feel you can perform, I understand completely, especially if you've been playing a while. And for the new people to 90, I mean, they're just smashing buttons, and you get into these LFRs, and as we all know, LFR can be interesting. There's a way to put it. Anyway, unforgiving at times from a lot of the trolls and just the players that like to be elitists in LFRs, and it happens. But when you're performing low, you get kicked out of these LFRs, you get kicked out of heroic. It's not fun. So not only are you performing where you want to and trying to figure it out, but now you're getting kicked out of groups. And anyway, that all needs to be bypassed. One of the ways to bypass that, first of all, I decided not to make this part of the video. For one, for length of video, and for two, because I feel like there's enough add-on stuff out there. You can find one that fits for you. I will recommend Reforginator in this instant, but Ask Mr. Robot is a terrific tool, especially if you're a hardcore raider or just really big on min-maxing. However, when you get your starter gear at 90, it's going to be missing something very important right now, and I think the reason is they plan these boosted 90s for Warlords. In Warlords, there's not going to be any hit anymore. There's not going to be a hit cap. So the gear that you're getting isn't going to have any hit on it. That's an issue because you need hit right now. You're going to be hitting for nothing. You'll miss every other swing if you don't get hit capped. So first piece of advice, do some questing or something to get some gold. That'll help you learn some of these abilities I'm about to show you anyway. And it'll get you acclimated to the character, but also go reforge your gear and get hit capped. Because that's going to go a long way. It's going to be an initial difference right off the bat. Alright, so here in the game, let's just go ahead and dive right into a couple things. First, I'm set mostly for PvP on my skills right now, so what we're going to do is reset that for more of what I would consider a PvE side. Again, for those of you out here that have played a monk for a long time, or any class for that matter, these veteran players, this is for casuals, and this is going to be for people just learning the class, okay? So yes, there's a skill cap like there's on every class. I'm not trying to give you skill cap right now. I'm strictly just trying to give you a starting point, a baseline to jump off of, if you will. I'm starting you in the 3 feet of water at the public pool, and you can swim yourself out to the 6, 7, 8 feet if you want to. Okay. Disclaimer there. I know nothing. Putting that out there right up front. Okay, so Tiger's Lust. I like this one because it's just a way for you to move quickly, and a lot of fights, a lot of the mechanics are going to be you having to get from target or out of something quickly, and Tiger's Lust will help with that. It's just a simple speed burst, and it breaks you out of movement and parrying effects. So that's the biggest thing right off the bat. Okay, and it's only for that. I like the movement that it allows. I like personally being able to trigger it when I want it. if I can avoid the passive in that regard, I'll do it because I want to choose when this happens. In the second tier, I took Chi Wave. First of all, that's because Chi Burst has a cast time as well as a cooldown. That's going to slow your DPS rate. It does good damage and it helps with healing, but it's not really necessary. Your Chi Wave is going to give yourself a little bit of damage, and with the cast time involved as a melee class, and you got to aim it, it's just not really working. Zen Sphere, that again, it's not nearly going to be an impactful heal. It's going to make a difference or an impactful damage. It's just not doing enough. When monks first started, Zen Sphere was ridiculously overpowered. It's not now. It got tweaked, as does stuff, So Chi Wave is the way I would suggest to go. Down here I use Chi Brew. Again, that's because I'm the type of player I like to choose when I get things. So this is something that I get to decide. I'll be quite honest with you though. For starting out, I would go with... I would first go with having some Tomes of the Clear Mind in your bag when you start your video. By the way, I'm going to take this moment while I'm getting these to just go ahead and let everyone know I'm actually recording this, believe it or not, as a live, non-edited feed. Couple reasons for that. One, I want to see how I do with the live feed because I do also stream, and I always like to be able to go back and look and see how everything, has panned out. I also like it because it gives you guys a chance to give me comments. It can be good, bad, or indifferent, but if I've edited it, it's kind of like I'm cheating right now. I know my footage is going to be a little rough. I'm using a little lower grade stuff than a lot of people out there, and we're going to work through that together. As a team, we're going to work through that, okay? So anyway, so go with Ascension here. It's just easier. Maximum mana 15, energy regen 50%, and an extra chi. It's just good all the way around. It's going to help you out starting out. So go with Ascension here starting. On your next line, I actually really like Leg Sweep here, only because you are a melee class. Ring of Peace is great to be able to put on a tank, a healer, on yourself. It's a skill cap thing, though, of when and where to use it is important. Leg Sweep, look at it this way. If you're in a mob, in a raid, or in a heroic or something, you got a bunch of guys around you, and you want to mitigate a little bit of damage, just throw out a Leg Sweep. It just stuns everything. You're just tripping everybody up, man. You're going to the bar with Chuck Norris, and you're just spinning around, kicking everybody down on the ground. It's nice. Gives you a couple seconds stun, and just kind of slows down the damage output that's coming from the enemy. So, yeah, just something fun for you to have, and it's a whole lot less to remember, and that's what we're going for here. Next line, I would actually say let's go with a, let's go Dampen Harm here. Just because that's going to be a damage mitigator for you. It's another button to press, and I would like to tell you stay away from that, but we saved ourselves on Ascension here instead of Chi Brew, so we'll put that in its place with Dampen Harm. That's just going to, that helps you with those physical attacks. It's kind of like almost like a second shield wall type thing, or kind of like an ice barrier for a mage, to a completely different degree. I'm not comparing them. I am. But Dampen Harm is going to be a easier thing to do overall. Healing Elixirs is nice because it's passive, but again, I like to be able to choose stuff a little bit, so Dampen Harm would be the way to go here. Rushing Jade Wind. Zwen is awesome. Zwen, sure, we'll go with that. He's awesome. It looks cool. It's a great burst of damage, and it helps a lot. I really like Zwen for Windwalker. I do. I like it really good on Brewmaster as well, but I think in the overall, Rushing Jade Wind is great for you to have because it's extra damage coming out as you're pressing other buttons, and I just think that's really nice to have. And it's something you can keep going consistently. So whereas Zwen's got the 3-minute cooldown, Rushing Jade Wind's a constant. It's just a constant. And that's just damage you can do, and you're also getting to keep your rotation going with it. So instead of, and jumping ahead, but we'll see how it goes. Instead of having to figure out when you want to spinning crane kick and putting the glyph on and everything for it, you can just go with the Rushing Jade Wind and boom, it's right there. It's doing its thing, it's doing the damage. You're not having to hit any more buttons for it. You're not having to channel, which helps your DPS output as well without having to do the channeling. Spinning crane kick's a channel. Can't do anything else. This, one press of a button, there's damage going on around you while you're doing your rotation and keeping your damage output at a max. Okay, So we're going to go with those right now. We're going to go ahead and put Dampen Harm on our bar. Alright. Now again, I'm going to start showing you a rotation here. Keep in mind, I'm not trying to get crazy with this. I'm trying to give you basics to get you started. Understand that going in, okay? So, let's look through the skills and let me just point out a couple things that are actually going to be a big deal for you here. So you know about Chi Wave, Blackout Kick. Big thing you're going to be using a lot of, okay? Make sure that's on your bar. Chi Wave, get that on your bar. Crackling Jade Lightning, put it out there for fun. It's good if you're pulling mobs and stuff, doing any kind of farming. It's nice to be able to stand there and just kind of grab the stuff, but you're not going to, unless you're fighting Thog. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing altogether. Thog sucks for melee. Detox. Good thing to have on you just in case. I put it on my bar, obviously. It's going to take off some debuffs and stuff, poisons, diseases and stuff. If you're in a heroic and the healers, not really doing what they should be doing, healers, I know you always do. I play with really, really bad healing friends of mine. That's all it is. Everyone else that heals in the world is a great healer, and this is never an issue. But I happen to have a couple friends that are terrible. I gotta use it. It's for them. Alright, then you've got Disable. Okay? It's more of a PvP thing, but yeah, we'll move forward. Energizing Brew, have that on your bar. That's a burst. We'll get to that later. Expel Harm. Fist of Fury is nice. It gives you a stun. It's channeled, but it's a nice stun to have for stuff. It's also, the time you're going to use this a lot in PvE is going to be in a kind of an AoE type situation or in a single target boss situation. When your energy is running low, you get enough up to get that, you get your 3 chi up for it, you go ahead and use a Fist of Fury, and because it's channeled, it's going to let your energy build up. Okay, so this is a nice thing to use to make sure you've got some DPS going when your energy's dropped out. You've expended your resources to restore your energy. This is a great way to kind of recoup it while putting damage out, is use some chi on Fist of Fury. That's when you'd want to pull that one out. Flying Serpent Kick, use it to catch up to the group, to catch up to mobs. There's a skill cap to that. Don't worry about that starting out. Have fun with that, and don't fly into bosses. Don't, Windwalkers. Don't fly into bosses. Nobody likes to see you soar through the air, pulling your little ninjutsu moves on the way to bosses. It's not fun, alright? So, play with it. Don't really worry about using it too much in raids and stuff unless you're just catching up to the group. Like an LFR, use it to catch up, it's fine. Fortifying Brew, that's one of your defensive cooldowns. Every class has them. This is one of your main ones. It's a damage mitigator. Use it when you're taking damage, waiting on a heal to come in. You're still going to take some damage, but that's kind of your shield wall type thing. It's kind of like a bark skin with a druid. Similar to that. It's going to help you out some. Make sure you have it on there. It's giving you, health by 20%, damage taken 20%. It's a good thing to have. Grapple Weapon, you're not going to use that in raids. Or heroics for that matter. You're just not. I mean, yeah, later on you want to skill cap and use it. Hey, be my guest. But starting out with a monk, you've never played one before, you're going into heroics and raids, don't even worry about grapple weapon. It's PvP. Let's just look at it that way. Healing spheres, have the on your bar. It's self-healing is what those are going to do. You can drop them down. You drop up to 3. You run through them. You get some health back. They do take energy to put out though. Again, it's more of a PvP thing with the skill cap. I'll make another video on Windwalker PvP later, and that'll make you understand better how to use the healing spheres. But for now, it's whatever. Jab you gotta have. That's your chi builder. Use your energy on jab. That's what's going to be getting your other moves out. Basically, you've got jab and your Rushing Jade Wind that you're going to keep going with. Jab's going to constantly be building up your chi. Everything else is spending it. Rushing Jade Wind spending energy. Energy on jab, energy on Rushing Jade Wind, build up chi, spend it on everything else. Pretty much. Leg sweep we talked about. Your legacies. Put these out on the bar. These are your buffs for the group. I put them on. I've got a shift 2 thing going on. Anyway, doesn't matter what my buttons are for it. But Legacy of the White Tiger. That's giving me a 5% crit chance. Okay. Now if you go into an LFR or heroic or something, you're going to get that over. Put it out there just in case. Make sure to get in the habit of doing those 2 buffs all the time. Emperor is the same thing as Kings, as the I can't think of the name of it now. Mark of the Wild. I hope that's it. I've mained a druid resto for years, and I can't think of the name. I think it's Mark of the Wild. Anyway, it's all the same thing there. Your Legacy of the White Tiger is the same thing as a Warlock or a Mage is able to put out there with the Arcane Brilliance, Dalaran Brilliance, whatever. And the Warlocks with their spell create. I mean, they're all going to overlap each other, but put them out there anyway, because you never know if the other guys in the group are going to do it or not. So drop both of those out there, and everybody's got it. You're fine. Nimble Brew, put it out there. It breaks you out of roots and stuns. PvP, more so. But you're going to use it some in your heroics and in your LFRs. Honestly, I think that's more of a skill cap thing. Don't worry too much about that right now. Paralysis, yeah, it's fun, but you're not going to use it in LFRs and heroics. Nobody CCs right now. And heroics, for one, 5-mans. Just nobody does any CC. It's just the way it goes. Everybody's running through the things. Do what damage you can, and let's see how fast we can get through this thing. If you're doing challenge modes, or if you're in a 10-man raid, you're probably going to use this a good bit. Definitely in PvP, it's constant. I'm pretty much using it off of cooldown in PvP. But for your regular LFRs and heroics, you're not going to be doing it. Nobody CCs an LFR unless it's just a stun that they happen to do with the rotation, and nobody's doing it in 5-mans. So I wouldn't concern myself too much with paralysis. Have it somewhere you can get to it, play with it, have fun. You're not going to use it much, to be honest. Next is Provoke. You're not going to use this. There's a skill cap involved. I ain't gonna worry about it here. Resuscitate, obviously you want to have that. That's how you can bring people back. That's your revive. You can bring them back from the dead. Somebody dies in the group, you can bring them back with that. Quite honestly, if you're in a level 25 guild, you're going to be using mass res anyway, but hey, who knows? Yeah, you're still going to use that from time to time. Just know that you've got it. You have a way to bring people back to life. It's not a B-res. You don't have one, but you do have this to bring people back. You know, there are classes, some people don't realize they can do that. So a lot of people I've talked to didn't even know that a Warlock Soulstone can now be used as a battle res. It's just the way it goes. But again, not a battle res, is a res. Rising Sun Kick. Alright, this is huge. This is something you're going to be using off of cooldown in your rotation. It's keeping a debuff on the target of mortal wounds. Cool thing with Rising Sun Kick is, not only is it going to be working on the target you cast it on, like you jump up, you do a backflip and kick a guy in the face, so it's one of the coolest, visually one of the coolest mechanics of the game. But because if you're in a mob of guys and you kick that guy in the face with that Rising Sun Kick, everyone else around him, all of his buddies that are attacking you, saw how cool that backflip kick to the jaw was, and now they are suffering from the same mortal wound. I know you kicked one guy, but everybody else got intimidated all to hell from it. So now that Rising Sun Kick debuffs on everybody in the whole little group that you're fighting, right? You walked in the bar, you did a backflip, kick a guy in the face. If I'm in the bar, I'm a little intimidated too. It's just the way it goes. Alright, so roll. That's just a move around thing. Use that, you move over here, you move back, whatever you got to do, right? You get that at like level 1 or 2, I think, with a monk anyway. So play with it, have fun, get around town with it. Rushing J-Win we've discussed. Spear and Strike, that's your interrupt. That's every class has that. This is yours. This is how you interrupt spell casting. It's just your interrupt. If you're in a raid, if you're the guy that's interrupting something, that's what you're going to do. It's 15-second cooldown. This is fairly low. You get your interrupt off and be ready to do the next one. That combined with your leg sweep are going to be really good interrupts. Your paralysis, you can actually use as an interrupt if you want to. But again, LFRs and heroics, rare. I will silence some stuff in there. There's certain heroics where there's fights where it helps the healer a lot if you silence a particular target, which we're not getting into in this. So have that and get used to using it. The Spinning Fire Blossom, it's PvP. That's the only way I mean, it does some damage, but in PvP that's going to root guys getting away from you. Again, I'm going to make a video on that. It's great for that. I never use this in heroics or in the LFRs. Again, some raiding situations maybe, but in LFR and heroic, which is what we're discussing, you're not going to use that. Storm Earth and Fire is fun. I will actually show you it here because I'll show it to you in the rotation. We'll do it that way. All right, and Tiger's Eye Brew. This is actually going to light up for you. Like I keep mine right here, and you'll see at some point while I'm hitting, it's going to build the stacks. As you spend chi, it's going to build stacks to that. You spend it, you get a little burst damage, which is great to have. Okay, Touch of Death. Man, if you can pull it off, more power to you. As you can see, it's not on my bar right now. I keep it on my second one, and every now and then I'll try to get one off, but it's, yeah, they have to be so long. It's kind of broken right now. They are going to be changing it in Warlords, which I'm looking forward to, because it should be more like a kill shot is for a Hunters type thing. But right now it's not that. They have to be at such a low percent of health for you to even be able to get that off. And then you either have to waste a glyph on it, or you have to have 3 chi built up to be able to use it. It's just not worth it. You're going to wait so long to get that Touch of Death off. You're going to lose the damage you needed to kill that boss and end up wiping your raid for it, if it came down to that. That's how crucial that Touch of Death is to time it right. It's ridiculous. Touch of Karma. That's, if you happen to be taking the damage in PvE side, this is Heroics LFR. If you're taking a bunch of damage off a boss or something, just pop it. It'll do more damage for you. It's a way you can increase your damage output on the boss without having to do anything, which is always kind of cool. Like there's a lot of AoE damage coming off of a boss, just hit that. Some fights mechanics, it seems like it works, some it doesn't in LFR and Heroics. It's I feel like it's almost, in PvE side, I feel like it's almost still kind of broken as far as what it'll work on, or maybe they never knew, or maybe I'm the only one. Maybe it doesn't happen and I just think it does. But I feel like there's times when it works and sometimes it doesn't. But try it anyway, because if you're about to die, pop it. Maybe we'll look at it like that. It's just a defensive cooldown. I don't really see you using it that much. LFRs, no. And then Heroics, no, it's kind of by choice. Be honest, if you're in a position where you're having to use that to try to survive a fight, odds are you're probably going to die anyway. Like, you're not saving the group. Let's be honest. You're a boosted 90. You're getting in there trying to learn things and figure it out, and you're trying to touch a Karma to save a wipe. You're not that guy. It's just the way it works. Transcendence, that's like a Warlock's Teleport, like a demonic portal. It's fun to play with, fun to do. I set a guy over there. I come over here, hit it again, and I'm back there again. That's what that's doing for us. Zen Mend is great. Okay, this is a huge way that you can help in LFR or in a Heroic, as a matter of fact. If you're in an LFR and you're at a point in the fight where you know there's a lot of damage going out, okay, especially if it's a caster doing the damage, you see everyone's health starting to drop down. You stand over the side, you pop this. It's an 8-second channel, and it's 90% damage is being redirected. You're mitigating 90% of the damage you're not taking, and you're resending the damage from all of the people around you for 30 yards to yourself. All right, so you're taking a lot of damage for the whole group and absorbing it and mitigating it for them. All right, so what you want to do is pop that when you're in one of those situations where you can. I mean, you really could save a wipe with that. Now, if you get hit by a melee attack, that is going to break that Zen meditation. Okay, so use it against like a casting boss in an LFR or something. That would be the time you want to pull that out. If nobody's near you to hit you from a boss standpoint, pop that and it'll save a lot of the health of the people around you. So that's a good one to have. Alright, so now that covered everything that's on the bars, the rest are passives. Look through them, check them out, see if you like them or not. Back to this. So, what we're going to do, we're going into a fight. Okay, your goal is to build chi, spend chi. Okay, you see how I've got the 5 circles there. It's kind of like with a rogue, the way they're going to build their points on the target. The difference is you're building them on yourself, more along the lines of a paladin. You're building your own points to use on your own stuff. Okay, so use your energy to build your chi. Use your chi on your powerful moves to do your damage. The trick, the skill cap comes into play. You want to always have a little bit of chi and always have a little bit of energy. That's what you're shooting for. Doesn't always work. So, the initial attack I'm doing is going to be a jab. Okay, now that actually procced. This thing over here is a Tiger Strike proc. Okay, now the Tiger Palm that I'm going to hit him with is going to give me a buff. Okay, up here called Tiger Power. You ignore 30% of the target's armor with that. This is huge to have for your damage. It's something you need to keep up at all times. And if you notice, you saw a stopwatch pop up over there on my timer bar. Okay, the reason that popped up is because I'm showing you your 20 seconds that you get with it. Okay, So see, it just ran out. Now if I hit it again, because I macroed it, I've got 20 seconds left. You want to keep this up at all times. So that's why I'm running the clock, so you can kind of check that out. So I'm going to jab again. Now I'm up to 3 chi. Okay, so I jabbed, I tiger palmed. Alright, now I'm doing a rising sun kick. Okay, as you saw, that was a 75k damage that it hit for. Right? And that's the way to spend it. Now over here, when the bar comes on the right side, that means you're getting an instant blackout kick that's not costing you any chi. Okay, so when the one on the left comes up, you get a free tiger palm. When on the right comes up, that's a blackout kick. Okay, and then you can hit it again. Now you see my thing wore off because obviously I'm going slower here. Alright, so now you're seeing a little bit of what's going on my screen as far as damage output. Now watch when I use a rushing Jade Wind. Damage going everywhere. Hands are off the keyboard. Hit it again. Damage going everywhere. Okay. Now the great thing is I'm not channeling that, so I can hit it. It builds chi that I can now spend to do moves, and it pops back up and I go right back at it again. Okay, so that's a huge damage improvement. Spinning Jade Wind, or spinning Crane Kick rather, looks really cool and it's neat, but you have to automatically glyph that over here. You've got a glyph of the spinning crane kick, lets you move at full speed. You're going to feel like you have to use that with spinning crane kick because you move so slow without it. So now you're going to waste a whole glyph slot for that one. It's just not worth it, man. Use rushing Jade Wind. Instant damage walking into the guys. It's building chi for you as you're going into the fight, and you can just start going off. Alright, now down here was my proc of my energizing, my Tiger's Eye Brew. Okay, when I use that, you can look up here, it increases damage and healing done by 60%. 60. That's a very large number, 60%. Okay. Do you see the 217k Rising Sun Kick we got there? That's why. Okay. It's hitting for a lot. We're getting our procs, and we're just hitting those buttons. Okay, now, the reason I like Chi Wave so much. I cast Chi Wave. It's hitting for 22 and it's healing me for 21, but the biggest thing I want you to know is that it's not doing, it's not costing me any energy to do, and it's not a channel. I cast it, I forget it. You see the pattern forming here? You have some stuff that you can cast and forget that are increasing your damage and helping your survivability, and that's kind of what you're going for. Alright, so you pop a Chi Wave, helps your survivability, you get a little bit of health, help your healers out, and then it's also going to go ahead and do a little bit of damage along with you too that you're not having to do anything about. So we're going to go into this one like we're coming into a fight, alright? And I'm just going to kind of tell you what I'm hitting real time so you kind of have an idea of what's going on. This is kind of trial and error for both of us, guys, okay? Me and for you. So I'm going to be saying it real time while doing it real time, and it might get insane, could get a little crazy, but we're going to try and we're going to get through it together. We're going to form a bond over this, okay? And when the comments happen and I see, hey man, wow, I will understand that that wasn't a good wow because that had to do with this part. Just make sure I know about it and work on it. Alright, so here we go. So I'm going to click Rushing Jade Wind going in. I'm going to jab and get a Tiger Palm out. Then I'm going to go with a Rising Sun Kick. Keep jabbing a couple more times, blackout kicks, as I'm getting my procs. I'm keeping an eye on my Tiger Palm. I see that I've got 8 seconds left. I went ahead and did the Rising Sun Kick. I'm going to do a Tiger Palm now again. Get Rushing Jade Wind back up. Hit a Chi Wave just to get that damage output going. Another Rising Sun Kick when it comes off of cooldown. Now I'm hitting my Energizing Brew. Now I'm going to go ahead and start hitting my jabs, my blackout kicks, spending my energy as it's coming up. And you can see you just kind of have damage going everywhere, which is what you're going for here. Now my energy is getting a little low. I'm going to hit Energizing Brew. What that's going to do is help me refresh it more to get it back faster to keep doing this damage and pumping it out. So that's the whole goal, is keep it pumping out, keep the damage flowing, do what we can. Now I doubt you guys will be able to see it from here because I don't think my video quality is going to allow it. But right now I'm up, and I have LFR gear right now, okay? but I'm up at 116, 118k DPS on these targets. That's without raid buffs or any of that, and that's me not really knowing what the hell I'm doing in the first place anyway. Okay, so that's plenty of damage for you to be doing to not have to feel like a noob when you're going into these things. Okay, that's plenty of damage. You're going to be one of the higher damage if you're pumping that out in LFR. Okay, it's just the way it goes. People are going to be doing good if they're going to get up that high. Now, show you the next cool thing, and this is more of a, it's more aesthetics than anything else, but it'll actually do decent damage. It's a skill cap move. Don't stress about having to pull it out. I just want you to see it because it looks cool. So for those of you who have been thinking about boosting a monk, maybe this is one of those things that might help you out with it. But Storm, Earth, and Fire. Alright, so here's how it works. You pick a target, you hit it once. You pick another target, you hit it again. These guys are now out there fighting and they're going to mimic me. So Rushing Jade Wind, ×3. Now it knocks my damage down that I'm doing. Okay, so I'm doing less damage personally, but I have copies of myself that are also doing damage, and as you can see, we're now at 190k damage. Okay, that's a big increase. Now remember, you kind of got to know to put it here and there. Where do we get up to? 214k. Okay, so again, this is plenty of damage for you to be able to get this out on your target. You can move around, it looks cool, it's a lot of fun, and these guys are actually going to live until your target dies. Now there's certain LFRs you go into, or even a heroic for that matter, where you've got targets that are moving around. What you're going to do on those targets that are moving around is go ahead and throw one of these guys on them. Like if there's a caster but you're working on a melee guy because it's easier for you to get to him, just go ahead and send one of these guys out to do the work for you. They'll actually sit on that caster and do everything that you do without it costing you anything. They're just duplicating it. Now again, my damage goes down, but as you can see over here, 218k, and where we were before, 180, 120, that's a big difference. Okay, but you got to know which targets to put them on. This is also, keep in mind, working on 3 targets. This is an AoE practice dummy situation. Everybody's damage looks better on practice dummy AoE situations. It's a great way to make yourself feel good about yourself. In a boss fight, it's not worth it, okay? Because what these guys are doing, the monk and your spirit deal 70% of the monk's normal damage. So that's 140. You get them on one target, okay? 2 spirits, each one's doing 55. So that's 165%? Well, you can do the math yourself later. Anyway, it's going to help you a lot, but it's one more button you got to remember to do. Okay, so if you think about going into a fight, go for it. Now I'm going to bring my guys back. Bring it back. Come back to me, buddy. Come back. Okay, they'll do what they need to do there. They decided they didn't want to come back just yet. So what you're going to want to do is bring them out if you have the ability to. It looks really cool. It helps a lot on the damage. If you're in a big mob AoE pool fight, throw these guys out on a couple of the guys farther off and then start hitting your Rushing Jade Wind and watch your number soar through the roof. Okay, because you can start beating on stuff while your damage is just going everywhere. It's going to make it look really good. Okay, anyway guys, that's going to wrap up the video for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you leave your comments below. Give me a like. Let me know what you think. Feel free to subscribe. Again, inaugural video, so thank you very much for joining me. And everybody have a great day. I'll see you on the next video. It's probably going to be on the PvP side of things. Alright, have a great